You should have these published. You should have your own collection.
Nobody'd buy it.
Why do you say that?
Well, 6 publishers have told me so. No big deal. Whatever it is that makes an artist look like an artist to the world is just a feature I don't have, that's all.
Maybe you have to convince yourself first.
Maybe.
Maybe you have to ask yourself why it's an obsession.
What's that?
I remembered I had this the other night after you left. It was made for me in Assisi. My aunt gave it to me for my 7th birthday.
Francesca.
Mm-hmm. Keep it.
Hello and welcome to Book versus Movie. This is a podcast where we read books that have been adapted into movies, and then we try to find out which we like better, the book or the movie. I am Margot P. of ColoniaBook.com, and this is my good friend and co-host, Margot D. of Book and Fitchick.
Hi, everyone.
I don't have any high school seniors in the house, but I myself am suffering from senioritis. Like we've gotten through Memorial Day weekend. My kids have got finals coming up, and I'm already like in summertime. We just wrapped up Mysteries in May last week. And so now we're in kind of like a free-form period where like we're open to suggestions from all genres and all that. We do often discuss summer blockbuster movies during the summer. So we may be doing that. We'll see how it goes. If you're new, though, and you're joining us because you love this book or this movie, I'm just going to apologize for myself in advance.
One of us is going to like it more than the other. I have a feeling.
But anyway, all of this is to say we are so glad that you're here. We really love getting your suggestions. This is a book and movie that has come up many, many times over our 10 years of doing this show, and we are finally getting around to doing it now. I'm actually really excited to talk about it. There's a lot of fun stuff to discuss today. But if you would like to join in on the conversation, make suggestions, meet other listeners in this podcast, and interact with us, there's a few places where you can do that on the internet.
We do have a basic Facebook page. You can like that, and the episodes are posted there first, but we're much more interactive in our private Facebook group. You just have to ask to join, and we really do just talk about books and movies there, and we're always looking for suggestions. You can also send suggestions for Twitter, Threads, Instagram. At those places, you spell out book versus a movie, and we have an old-timey email, book versus movie podcast, spelled it all out at gmail.com. And if you would like some stickers, send along your address via email and we will drop them in the mail for you.
And if you really enjoy the show and would like to help keep us in books and movies, you can also support us on Patreon.
Patreon. We have a couple of very affordable options. We have over 150 episodes there. We're putting everything from 2021 and then previous to that on the wall. As Margot said, we've been doing the show for 10 years. There's also a bunch of free things there too. You always just sign up and check it out. What we put up recently, Love Story being there, Whippet, Streetcar Named Desire. What's coming up is The Little Prince I just dropped there, and then Argo is dropping next week. And those were 2 good movies that we really enjoyed. But those are just ways to support us.
I forgot we did Little Prince and Argo.
Yeah. And we enjoyed them. They're great movies.
I should just assume. I think
everything.
I'm sorry.
At this point.
At this point, I just have to assume that if I have any kind of memory of watching any movie, it's because of this podcast.
Yes.
Because I really don't go to the movies otherwise. I really don't. I go to maybe 2 movies in the theater a year. Yeah, I watch a lot of movies on the plane. Yeah, I really appreciate Southwest shaking up their selection. Like, they keep it fresh. Just a shout out to them. They're not sponsors or anything, but I fly them a lot. I had never read this book, and I had never watched this movie. Had you?
I'd never read the book.
Uh-huh.
I did see the movie. but I don't remember seeing it in the theater. I think I rented it.
Okay.
And I think it's because I read an article about the soundtrack. And I think the soundtrack, I used to actually had the soundtrack.
I will say that I did enjoy the soundtrack. There's a lot of things I did like about this movie. I'm not going to just, poop all over it. We'll get to that in a second. Let's talk about our very interesting writer.
Margot, yeah, you've been doing some research about
I did a little
him.
bit of poking around about this guy.
He was born in Iowa, Charles City, Iowa. He was actually a business professor. He was educated at University of Northern Iowa, Indiana University, Bloomington for his PhD. Kelley School of Business is where he was teaching. He was a teacher, and then on some break or another, maybe he did some writing on the side, but he was on a vacation and he saw all these covered bridges in Iowa and was taking pictures of them, and then said he had this dream of a woman named Francesca, and he had this idea for a romance. And so he wrote up this booklet, and he gave it as a gift. And then one of his friends said, you should send this to an agent. And the agent apparently read it and said, where have you been all my life? Thought it was pretty good. And so it goes on the market. It sells, the rights sell for $25,000. The book itself sells 9 million copies, which is just an extraordinary number of copies. And I was looking at he passed away, by the way, in 2017. He was 77. I was just looking at some of the bona fides here, and they were saying that Oprah Winfrey had a special show at the bridge and said this was like his gift to the world was this book. And then between us, let's just say this. So he's very successful. He was married to
Oprah.
Oh. He was married. He was in 61. He was married, and then he moved to Frederickston, Texas. I'm sorry, I'm screwing up the name. Fredericksburg, Texas.
Fredericksburg,
Georgianne
yes.
and Widemere. And then they split up in 97, and it's because he marries the foreperson of his ranch. This person ran his huge ranch in Texas. And I believe, Margot, you were telling me they were both married, and
yeah, she was also married, and it was 24 years his junior. Not judging; those are just the facts. But maybe judging just a little bit.
Trashy divorces. Maybe this is a thing for trashy divorces.
Oh yeah, right. I wonder. Interesting. Yeah, there's some very. It's not like in the main stuff that you would find about him, but if you go digging around local press, like Texas press, it was a big story there. Very big. He was
handsome, and
story.
it was a book that he was very handsome, and he also I was saying to Margot, I text her, your mileage may vary. I had insomnia the other night. I read the book all the way through.
It's a very quick read.
Yeah,
yes.
It's a super quick read.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't think it's so bad. But like I said, it was very, very popular. And sometimes these things are in the zeitgeist. And you and I are like, I wasn't there when this happened. This was with The Help.
I know. Seriously, like The Help or Jurassic Park. We've had a few of these where the book was a juggernaut. The book itself was a juggernaut. And then you and I are reading it much later and like, huh? Okay. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Maybe because we were in a
college.
Clintonian era, like what is old fashioned romance. And, we're sick of these Hillary Clintons in her pantsuits trying to, have a life. I don't know, but and again, just like with the movie, there were things I liked about it. I just don't get why it was such a smash sensation that Oprah's like going to the bridge.
It's
okay.
Well, so the story is basically that there's a woman and she's Italian. She's Italian.
Yeah. But here's the thing. And one of the things I liked about the book gets totally thrown out of the window for the movie. But one of the things that I think is actually, I was like, wow, is the premise of the book is he presents it as though it's a true story, which I like. And he is a writer, and through kind of like a friend of a friend, these two people come to him and they're like, our mom passed away, and in her things we found she was having, basically she had this whole secret love of her life that we never knew about. And what's really nice in the book, the kids they go to him and they were like, this was, we're not judging her. We love her. We understand why she made the choices that she made. We just think it's such a compelling love story. We want it to be told. And, our friend told us that you were writing, and would you consider telling this story? Okay. That is the premise of the book. He has met these kids, adult children of Francesca. They have brought him all of the artifacts and shared the story with him. And now he is telling it for us. He also gives us some background. This is where it starts to, like, I'm starting to get annoyed. He gives us a little bit of background about the photographer that he's going to talk about. He's very successful. He's, and I think it's plausible for the most part. He worked for National Geographic and all of this stuff. He makes a point of saying that, I believe, unless I'm misunderstanding, that the man's, the negatives of the bridges, he destroys them. He's destroyed them. They got destroyed somehow. So they don't exist anymore. But then throughout, like, every single chapter of the book, there's a picture of the bridge. I thought, we don't have these pictures anymore, but here they are. Okay. Are they different pictures? Why do we have these pictures is what I'm saying. You tell me the pictures don't exist, and then you give me a picture with every chapter. Tell me why it's there. That's all I'm saying. Did you get it from National Geographic? You're reproducing it from there? Just tell us. Why are you giving us pictures that you just told us don't exist? Okay. So now we have Francesca. And I think, again, for the most part, I'm okay with how she's written. She was an Italian, person. And I actually know people like this. I actually know a couple not unlike this. She was an Italian girl, really young woman, and she meets an American GI. Things are not going great in Italy. It's now we're in 1965, but she's remembering, let's say, in the 50s after the war. It was not a fabulous time. It was difficult to get back on their feet. She's allured by this, dashing GI and his talks of America. And so they come to, is it Iowa? Ohio? Iowa. Start a family. And it's not bad. There's lots of good things about it, but it's not what she imagined. It's not what she dreamed that she was escaping to. And I also like that the husband is not a bad guy. He's a nice guy. He's just not a dashing photographer. Oh, and then one of the things that we learn about the photographer before we even start the story, or at least very early on, is that the photographer, he's like this roving vagabond, not tied down to anybody or anything, and he's very successful, and he has had quite the string of road flings, let's call them. So there we are. Those. So we've set the scene. The daughter is going to show her prize. I can't remember, some livestock of some kind. I don't remember if it's a cow or a horse or a what, but something, a pig. I don't remember. She's going to the state fair, and the father and the brother. So all of Francesca's family except for her, because somebody has to stay and do all the chores. I mean, all that has to continue. So she stays behind, and the rest of the family goes off, and they're going for 4 days. Very important. Right. Now, Margot, here's the thing. Here's my question. If I say to you, I'm going for, and people have different ideas about this. I'm not saying that it's right or wrong, but I'm just curious what you think. If I say to you, I'm going on a trip for 4 days, how many nights is that?
3.
That's what I think too. Okay. Just wanted to establish that. I thought maybe I'm just weird that way. Okay. So in the book, as the family, basically like the family leaves and almost on their heels, right? The photographer comes by and he's
very quickly. She was excited because, and she establishes a couple of things that she's very blasé about living there. It's also, you have to remember, I remember when I first moved to New York, it was expensive to call home, like to call long distance to California.
That was a big deal.
her family's on the other side of the world. Like she's very lonesome, and she's like learning the language, and it's like, Margos, it's like you're not exactly sure being a farmer's wife, like how, some people love it, but she feels a little taken advantage of. They kind of storm in and out of the house, and they kind of treat her, like a lot of moms get like this, they treat her like the maid and the cook and the everything, and everybody slams the kitchen door. It drives her crazy. And so when they leave, she could play her music, and it's quiet, and she can just walk around barefoot and do her thing and not have to cater to people. So for her, it's a vacation for 3 days. And almost immediately, she notices a truck coming down the street, this dirt road to their place, and that doesn't happen very often. And so it's a man, and he says, "Hi, photographer, and I'm looking for this bridge." And she's trying to explain where it is, and then immediately she's like, "I should just go with you." And so she just does. And he must be really handsome, because she's just completely like the Brad Pitt of,
She's instantly smitten with this guy. She doesn't, she's not trying anything, but she's like, "Whoa, okay, this could be fun for a minute." So yeah, they go, she gives some directions, to the bridge. They go to the bridge, and they kind of instantly click, and they are instantly having really deep conversations about things, and it's fun. I think it's quite good. I don't have any qualms about it. They go to the bridge, and they spend time together. She invites him back for dinner. And they are really, she's obviously very starved for interesting conversation.
Right.
And that's what they're having. And it's perfectly innocent. And they spend they're talking all night long, and he goes off because he has to go shoot the bridge, because he is working. He has to go shoot the bridge early in the morning. Impulsively decides to go put a note on the bridge because she knows he's going to be there. He knows probably nobody else is going to see it before he does, because he said he's going to be there super early in the morning. And she just basically has invited him to dinner again. And then basically from then until her family gets back, they are having a steamy, steamy affair. I'm trying to think of, there's been several times, and I don't know why this is. I don't know what this thing is, where we have romances. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm going to generalize, and I'm going to just apologize in advance. I'm generalizing, and I'm throwing a lot of people in a bucket, and maybe they don't belong in a bucket. But we've had several times now where we've had romances or romance sections of a book written by men, where they're talking about what the woman is thinking. And for the most part, I think this book does a super good job. But once again, we have deep in her heart, what she really wanted was to be quote unquote taken. Again, I
think she just wanted to be desired.
It's not the same thing. That's not the same thing. So yeah, that kind of bugged me, but mostly I thought it was handled pretty well. Really, really pretty well. And I'm not mad at their romance. And I think, but again, it's fine. It's a fine story. It's a quick read.
Yeah.
They have this affair. She just cannot, it's 1965. It's a small town. She knows that, yes, she would be happy. Maybe her family would be able to move on, but this small town is never going to, she forever is, even long after she's left this earth, she's going to be the Italian, hussy who broke up her home and ran off with the photographer.
Right. And she can't leave her kids.
No, she knows that that's going to be really hard for them.
Right. And so they're both being practical. I mean, yeah. But so they kind of put the relationship in a box, and they kind of decide this was our moment. I wasn't mad at it. I was totally fine.
No, it was fine.
It's a love story. It's a love story about two people, crazy circumstances. They get together, and then due to those same circumstances, they can't stay together. And so he's going to go off, and then she's going to go off, and they're going to be right. And she leaves the instructions for the kids and basically explains you never really knew me, but this was something that was important to me. And I'd like to tell the story.
And I really loved that element of it, that she's sharing it with her kids. I love, in the movie, they just she just quickly mentions it, but in the book, I did like this. In the book, he kind of takes his time about her whole ritual of her birthday. how she remembers him every year on her birthday. And like, that's her time that she allows herself to really indulge in those memories, even after she learns that he has died. I really liked in the book, as I said, like that her adult children now really understanding about the whole thing and really grateful, that her mom thought of them so much, that she did that, and their dad, and that they were and they respect her wishes to be, it's never really a question that like, we're going to not follow mom's wishes of how she wants her ashes scattered and all of that. And so we can just like relax about that part of it and really enjoy the actual relationship as it's being told by our writer. So, that's the whole story, basically. They have this very brief affair for 3 days, really, couple of nights, and they live on that for the rest of their lives, basically.
Yeah.
And
some people do. I mean, that's, and I'm not mad at it. I totally get it. It's just not what I go for to read.
No, nor I, but it's fine.
But they have a very famous bookstore in my neighborhood that sells just romance novels. There's one in LA and there's one here now. And it's like, boy, is it a market. I mean, I have a lot of respect. They make a lot of money. They write a lot of books. So I was like thinking of that when I was reading this. And if I'm going to read one, I want one like this, I think, a little bit more than other kinds. I don't want to people like he was throbbing and she was heaving.
I know.
I can't.
I appreciated.
You do you. You do you. But
I liked their conversations. I thought they were. I thought for the most part that they were really well done and gave us a lot of insight into each of the characters and helped us see how they could have connected so deeply that it would endure like that for the rest of their lives. And I liked it. But yeah, it wouldn't be like, it's not like my favorite book of all time, but I enjoyed reading it. Like, I think for a summer read,
$25,000, that's what they got for the rights.
Even then, not that much.
Not much money.
No.
And then Robert Redford was attached to it. And then eventually it's Clint Eastwood. And I don't know if we've done a Clint Eastwood. Oh, no, Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil.
Long
time ago. Eastwood, who just had his birthday yesterday, he's in his 90s, is famous as a director for shooting very quickly and only doing a couple of takes. He just moves it along. He likes to shoot in order of the script and the story, and he's just known for that. Like, you better bring it the first or second time they're filming. There's no like, okay, we're rehearsing right now. It's let's which works in some of his movies. Some of his movies you can't tell because the acting is so good. And some movies, and I sent to you, we
couldn't do that
trailer.
Again. We couldn't take that one more time.
Okay, we'll play the trailer and then I've got something else to play. Okay, we'll start with the trailer. So this is 1995. The movie came out, I think, June of 1995. The budget was $22 million and the house looks great. I mean, they had to. The film looks beautiful.
I agree. Yes.
And it's $182 million, which I can get because this is very much an adult love story. This is not, I can appreciate it on that level. Okay, so anyway, here's the trailer.
There are images that lie within my heart. Images with the power to recall the warmth of a summer's night. The stillness before a storm. Reminding me of the first time I ever saw him.
You go.
When he stopped and asked directions to Rosamond Bridge. A moment when there was nowhere else to go. Except towards love.
Tomorrow.
Warner Brothers presents the most passionately read love story of our time. Clint Eastwood. Meryl Streep. the bridges of Madison County.
It's Clint Eastwood, Richard LaGravenese. He did the screenplay. Kathleen Kennedy was a producer on this. Meryl Streep is our Francesca. Meryl Streep, she of the many thousand accents that she can do, and she does beautifully. So the movie opens, found the bridge, they rebuilt that bridge, they built this house that was abandoned for 30 years. It looks beautiful. Very real.
The art direction is excellent.
Yes.
The bridges are gorgeous. The scenery is absolutely beautiful, and it is very romantic and all of that. I just wanted to mention, I forgot to mention when we were talking about the book. And okay, I'm right. I'm being judgy about it. I have to admit, I am being. It's okay. Look, in the book, Robert's the photographer, right? Because her husband, one's Robert and one's Richard.
Yes.
Richard's the husband and Robert's the photographer, I think, right?
Right.
So Robert, the photographer, is in the book. He's 52 and she's 45. So he's 7 years older than she is. And she, in the book, also like several times, and this was another like little cringy thing for me, like the I want to be taken thing. She, a couple of times, is like, "You're so powerful. You're just so powerful." It's like a weird thing. And part of it is that he's a little bit older than she is. He's 7 years older than she is, and he's more well traveled than she is, even though he's from a different country. It's more than twice that. Just saying. It's like
he's
years older.
Yeah, she was 45 or 46. He's in his 60s.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not mad about it. I'll say
either.
This. I think they have great chemistry.
I actually do too. And although I have a lot of problems with this film, those two are not among them.
No.
I think those performances are super good. I think, I'm going to say it, this might be my favorite Clint Eastwood performance I've ever seen. He is really good in this.
He's super good. I think he's great. I think she really brings out the best in him. I think she just looks different in every movie she does. Like she completely inhabits a part, and I totally
different
buy
walk,
it.
Everything. Yeah.
Everything.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is where I texted you last night because I watched the movie.
Okay.
And the way this movie is structured is it's a lot of the kids talking, and a lot of them, they could have used other takes, I would think, or the way I pulled a clip. The way the son freaks out about cremated, what? Like,
arrangements can be made.
I thought everything was arranged.
Well, there's a problem.
What problem?
Well, your mother left explicit instructions that she wished to be cremated.
Cremated?
Yeah, I know. I don't understand it either.
When did she decide this?
Oh, apparently just before death.
Well, this is crazy. I don't know anybody who gets cremated.
Well, lots of people do.
Well, nobody in my family did. Now, Dad bought cemetery plots at Prairie Hills. One for him, one for Mom.
Well, it clearly states in the will.
No, I don't care what it says. You know, maybe Mom was delirious. You know, maybe she didn't know what she was saying. No, if she wanted to be cremated, why the hell did she let Dad buy 2 plots, huh?
Well, she was very specific. She wanted her ashes to be thrown off Rosamond Bridge.
What?
Bizarre. Mr. Peterson, are you sure that Mom wrote all this?
Well, it was notarized and witnessed by Mrs. Lucy Delaney. Maybe you could ask her.
Who the hell is Lucy Delaney?
No, I remember Mrs. Delaney. I just have no idea why she...
I don't care whether it's legal or not. We're not cremating her and throwing her ashes off of some bridge where we can't even go visit her because she's going to be blown all over the place like an ashtray.
Not to mention people driving all over her and doggies doing their business.
We're not doing it.
Yeah.
What?
It's 1995. What are we doing? Also, like, we have siblings. You have siblings. You have siblings of both gender. You ever call your sister sis? You ever greet her sis? Are you a sis
My brother
person?
did. Joe.
Okay.
Joe called me sis.
Did he really?
So, yes.
Wow.
So, I know. Everybody always wants to bring that up in a movie, but I was like, that's what Joe called me.
Okay. Okay. I am just not.
And I called
it's
him
like
bro.
such a like how do we make the audience understand that they're not a married couple? Hi, sis.
Yes.
It's very that, like the first words out of his mouth are hi, sis. And I'm like, oh, gosh, all right.
I know. It's cheesy to everybody. I'm the only one that's like, oh, okay. But anyway,
But that
so
makes me feel better about it. I'm going to
Yeah. Just
okay.
if it ever bothers
Good
any of
to
you
know.
out there,
I've never called my sister sis.
He always did. I don't know, since I was a kid. He didn't call my other sister sis. So don't don't bring that up. But anyway, they introduce it's a lawyer or an executor, and you know, you and I both been through this when you lose a parent. Like, okay, where's it's a lot of tedious stuff when you're just completely grieving.
Junk when you are not in a headspace to deal with it. Exactly.
Right. And so that's very familiar. But he says, look, she died. This is what she wants. She wants to be cremated, and she wants her ashes tossed off this bridge that means a lot to her. And they
immediately, they're like, hell no.
Like 10-year-olds.
Dude.
They're so, and like, we're not going to do it. I don't care. We're not going to do it. Like, no.
I could see, like, okay, did you hate your mom?
Right.
I could see if you had a horrible, conflict-ridden relationship with a parent, and you're now the executive of their estate, and you're like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to travel to Iowa and scatter you. Sorry. But we're supposed to believe that they, like, really loved her and were really close with her. And so, to me, like, okay, if I learned that my dad, because I was super close with my dad, if I had learned that he wanted his ashes scattered in some random place that I had never even heard of, I'd be like, oh, he must have had a really important reason for that. I'm going to see what I can do to make that happen. I would not be like, hell no. And this is before they even know about the affair. Okay, this like they don't even know
it's
about.
Such an inconvenience to them, and they're so like, well, didn't he buy a plot? What are we gonna? I'm just like, it's so what? It's what she wanted.
What?
She's gone now.
Like him. Obviously, she knew what she wanted. She had plenty of time to think about it.
Right.
Whether she wanted to be in that plot.
I don't know why they needed that tension. I don't know why.
What are we
and I
doing?
feel like the actors are kind of like, where are we? What's this all about?
Because I feel bad for them.
It's not very convincing, right? Because they're even kind of like, they're supposed to be arguing about it, and so they get these letters, and they're starting to read the letters to one another, and it turns out, bro and sis both are in marriages that are fraught.
Yeah,
and his wife's really annoying. She seems really.
We have no reason to like this woman that is his wife. I feel real bad for this actor. She just shows up and she's like, well, did she leave me anything?
Oh my God. You're going to throw the ashes where the dogs are going to poop all over it. Like, what? They're ashes. Like, what are we talking about here? It's bananas. So thankfully they leave. And then we get into the story.
So
Thank
glad.
God.
They find journals, which I think the journals are in the book as well. They find the mother's journals, and they're now reading them together to find out what happened. And now we can finally, and this is like, I don't know, how many minutes, 25 minutes at least of this movie. This movie's very long. How many minutes of this movie that we have to like go through these bro and sis who were like...
who are gradually realizing she was a human being. Oh my God. It's like, oh no!
Imagine that.
So then thankfully,
finally, we get to go back in time. Whew.
And you could see Meryl Streep, who's Meryl Streep. That's why she is who she is. Very believable. And there's those little touches with the kids, like she's listening to the opera, and the daughter comes in and like changes the radio station.
I love all that. I think
all
it's
of
great.
It sets the setting. Like this is their family time. This is how they are. And so when they go to the state fair, and if you don't know this, like. Around the world, like I know this friends from different parts of the country. State fairs are a big deal.
Oh yeah,
they're a huge deal. Like it's serious. So for her but for her, it's like, oh, thank God, I can put music on. I can do whatever I want. And then it's Clint Eastwood who shows up, and I'm like, the robber in the book, I'm like, whatever. This Clint Eastwood, I'm like, yeah, I get it.
Okay, but in the movie, okay, they're going. In the movie, we established again, it's 4 days.
Right.
4 days. We're saying that's 3 nights. Okay, so in the movie, she's like, "Bye bye, family," and then we get her we get her whole night that she has to herself. Because in the book, again, he shows right up. Like, family goes down the road, and he's basically pulls right in. Here, she's like, bye-bye, and now she's, like, playing her opera. She's puttering around the house. She's, like, really thinking her own thoughts, which is fine. Thinking her own thoughts, da-da-da. And it's not until the following day. So we've now lost one night. The following day, he pulls in. They have the dinner, the perfectly innocent dinner where they connect. So that's now 2 nights. So all of this now, this whole life-changing everything, it's all hinging on this one night that they've had together, which I find
it must
very
have been really
strange.
good.
It must have been quite a night.
It must have been, look, what can I say? I think they have great chemistry.
They have wonderful chemistry.
The second, I love it when he brings her flowers.
Oh, there you are.
You caught me. I was just picking you some flowers.
Oh?
Men still do that, don't they? I'm not out of date, am I? I've been picking flowers for a woman, a sign of appreciation.
No, not at all. Except those are poisonous. I'm kidding. I'm sorry. I'm just kidding. I'm so sorry.
Are you sadistic by nature or what?
I don't know why I did that. You're very beautiful. Sorry.
And he's
Love
like,
that
we're not
moment. Not in the
and
book.
then
Love it.
It's yeah. I mean, those just little bits of humor, you can
Yes.
see them sparkling. You can kind of see.
I could just watch the two of them for 5 hours. I agree.
That section is great. I liked it when he was at the diner, and then the woman that came in, who's like the Jezebel of the town.
I love him with her. I just think he's really good in this movie. For all my little
I
issues
agree.
with it, I think he's super good in this movie. I really, really enjoyed Clint Eastwood in this movie. I was like, oh yeah, Clint Eastwood's a good actor.
It's years before he's talking to a chair.
Oh, it's
on
way
a stage.
before that. Like, this is a
way
different
before
guy.
that. He was the mayor of Carmel or something.
Yeah, it's a totally different guy. I really love him when he's in the diner with this poor woman who has had an affair with a local guy and the whole town knows about it. So he sees the consequences of that. And I like that was included. Because that's not, they just kind of obliquely mention it in the book.
Yeah.
But here's the other plot hole. Okay. This woman, Lucy something.
Lucy,
who has had an affair with Mr. Delaney. We learn later on that after this is all over and, the photographer's gone on with his life and Meryl Streep's trying to put her life back together again and decide what she was going to do. She reaches out. She shows up at Lucy's doorstep with a cake that she's made. And she's like, hey, sorry, just wanted to say hi and welcome you to the neighborhood. And then Meryl Streep says in the journal. So this is still in the 60s. So still when her kids are young and she's still, husband's still alive and everything. Clint Eastwood's not left town, for very long. She goes over to talk to this woman named Lucy with a cake and reaches out to her. And basically they become the best of friends. She says, we became inseparable. They bonded over this shared experience of having had an illicit or covert a love affair, but they both kind of took different roads there, but they become very, very close, and we see these scenes of their friendship over the years and all of that. But then, in the middle, we have to keep going back to Bro and Sis, which I'm not enjoying.
No.
So we go back to Bro and Sis at a certain point in the journal stories. And Bro he can't stand to hear about this, that his mom was in love with a guy. And so he has to get out of the house. And so he disappears for a while. He comes back. He's been at a bar. And he says to his sis, so, I was down at the neighborhood bar and I found out who this Lucy Delaney is. And I'm like, your mom's best friend? Like, this is the first you're hearing about your mother's best and closest friend of many, many years. And the sister is like, really? Who is she? You don't know either? I know who my mom's best friend is. I know who her best friend from high school is. I'm like,
considering it's a small town where they live, yeah.
Where everybody knew everybody's business, and you're just hearing about this now, that this Lucy person was the same one that had the affair with the guy. And
I love the Lucy part.
I love the Lucy part too. In the past, when we're talking, and I'm like, how do you not know who this woman is? How is this
These are rotten children, Margot. They are rotten children.
The lawyer in the papers, the mom says, if you want to see the photographs, I've given them to Lucy, basically. If you want to actually see the actual photographs, she has the book of the photographs. So in the movie, he's done like a photo essay book of his photos. And they're like, who's that? Why with the bro and sis? Why could we not have it be something similar to what it was?
They didn't need to keep showing up. I didn't need that. They don't explain anything
about them.
I don't. Like, he's got a problem with his wife, and I don't think they need to be together. She's annoying. And then the sis has issues with her husband, so she's going to hang around for a while in Iowa.
And why? Your mother has died. She's been living in the same farmhouse. We've seen the house at this point. We've seen it from many different angles, and we've seen a lot of the rooms, and we've seen it from the distance, and we've seen it up close. And Bro and Sis are there to put the mom's affairs in order. Bro shows up with his wife, who wants to know what's in it for her, and his 2 kids. He's got 2 kids, little ones. The sister shows up alone without her husband, who she's on the rocks with. The sister is staying in the farmhouse. The brother and his whole family are staying in a motel. That whole giant farmhouse is sitting there empty with just the sister rattling around in it.
I wonder,
why are you staying there? What is going on?
They didn't think this part out. I think.
Get it.
Yeah. I mean, every time they take us away from Clint,
I'm like, no.
No. Yeah. I mean, because Meryl's great. I like the part with her and Richard when he's older and he's dying, basically, and she's taking care of him. It was really good.
Yes.
Agreed. She really loved him. And so they have, let's say this, they have this incredible repartee. They really are great together. I keep saying it, but their chemistry really is off the charts. It's like really so good.
Robert, don't do this.
I don't want to say goodbye right now. We don't have to make that decision. Maybe you'll change your mind. Maybe we'll see each other and you'll change your mind.
Yeah. If that happens, you have to decide. Because I can't.
A lot of this movie is just Meryl looking at Clint looking at Meryl, Meryl looking back at Clint, and there's all this stuff going on.
And I get it. I'm totally like, yeah, you two should be. Yeah, I love the music in this movie. Like I said, I have the soundtrack.
It's a really good soundtrack.
It's gorgeous jazz music of the time. I like it when they go to that roadhouse, which is improbable too, if you think about it, in Iowa.
Yeah.
And all
in the book, they go to a different town and they go to like a diner. And even then they were a little worried. But it's not, is it because
Eastwood's a jazz head.
But is it because like everybody else in the bar or most of the other people in the bar are black? Is it because we think nobody's going to go?
Yes.
Is that what we're supposed to think?
I think one hand, yes, they're not going to run into anybody from the town. But then also Eastwood is a jazz head. So he wants jazz music. He always puts jazz music.
Good music.
It's wonderful.
It's a really good soundtrack.
Really
All of it.
good
the
soundtrack.
Opera, the stuff that the daughter's listening to. Yeah, love it. Love it.
It's really well done. And then they have to break up. He's going to go and he wants to bring him with her, with him, excuse me.
Yeah.
And she said, if any other circumstance, this would be great. But, because the kid's only 16, the other one's 17. Yeah. She loves her husband. It's going to hurt him. He never hurt anybody. It's just, there's too much to risk. And he says, okay. And they're all right with it. The family comes home. And she and her husband, Richard, they go to town in their car. It's pouring rain outside. And then we see Eastwood across the street in the pouring rain in his truck. And then he walks over to look at her. And it's just heartbreaking.
Oh, okay. So here's another thing. So it's heartbreaking. I agree. There's a scene when they're in the bar. There's a scene where they're in the bar. And I'm confused. I'm genuinely confused. He says to her, what's going to happen on Friday or something like that. Meaning when your husband comes back. Or does it mean when I actually do leave town? Because this is in the book too, that he's has to stay in town for a couple of days because he is still working. He's still shooting these bridges. Because again, like in the movie version, it's one night. They have one night together. Just the one night. So Friday, why are you saying Friday and not tomorrow? Because you're talking about tomorrow. Wouldn't you say tomorrow?
They say 4 days. I really think they had 2 nights together, if not 3. I really do. But I don't know. I'm kind of letting that go. I'm kind of like,
I don't know. I don't think in the movie we make it clear enough that, because in the book they make it very clear. Even though we know when the husband's coming back, we know that Robert is going to be there for longer than that, shooting the bridges. So she does have those few days of like, oh, no. I don't think in the movie it's made quite clear, like, why is he still sticking around? It's not, if I'm only watching the movie, I'm confused about that, I feel like. But
I got it.
But then there's the thing in the rain, which is just, it's good.
It's so good. The way he looks at her, the way she looks at him. And then they have that moment of kind of nodding to each other like, this is what it's going to be. And then he's in the truck in front of them. And then he takes the medallion that she gave him.
Yeah. And that's different too in the movie than in the book. It's fine. I like it.
I loved it. I think he's like hanging it up there. Like he's letting her know like this was special. Yeah.
I know. In the book, she does not give him a medallion. In the book, she is, over many years, she's following his career, and gradually she notices that in photographs, and she's watching him get older, in his photographs in the byline, she notices that he's got this medallion on, and she takes a magnifying glass and she looks at it and it's got her name on it. So he has had that made in the book because he doesn't have anything of her. But I liked that for the movie. I thought that was nice.
It was a nice touch.
That night, that whole scene is completely in the movie only. But I did like that, I have to say. Yeah.
Yeah. And so in the end, I love it when she goes to Lucy's. I like the fact that she makes, they become friends, that she has somebody she can confide in. I like that too.
Yes.
But then in the end,
not at all in the book.
No.
Not in the least. There's no Lucy in the book.
In the end, the kids decide maybe we should do what Mom wanted us to do because she was a great mom and she loved us and she wants one thing, which is to scatter her ashes by that bridge.
You have one job.
We had one job. It's just, she gave birth to you. She cooked for you.
She gave her happiness.
Yes.
To make it easier for you.
It is not weird to scatter. Scattering ashes was not weird in 95. I don't know what they're even talking. It's just, I get it. They bought a plot and that is expensive but so what? She just, I don't have them for my parents.
Live there.
My parents
it's not
were
like you're
cremated.
going to go visit her.
Yeah, well, where are we going to go visit? I have people they tell me that too because both my parents they were cremated, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I think about them all the time. I don't need to go to a thing to.
I think both are fine. Both
Yeah.
are valid. I don't feel. Yes, my dad was cremated, and that I will say that was an unusual thing for our family. And
Catholic, right?
Catholic. There were one or two people who were like, "You're not going to the cemetery." For us, I mean, I don't think. I'll just speak for myself. I certainly didn't feel like
No,
it was different or less meaningful.
No.
It's it's just
There's
it's
bigger
just
things to
weird.
deal with and feel
Bro
about.
and sis are just Bro and sis need some I don't know, more life experience. I don't know what's going on with Bro and sis.
I don't either. Yeah, the same thing. And I think like his girlfriend at the time, Frances Fisher, is that her name? She was in Titanic. She's Rose's mother in she wanted the part of the daughter, and Clint kept saying like, "Oh, we're not filming that yet. We're not filming that yet." And then all of a sudden, the film was done. Like the relationship didn't last long. Yeah, that it's just not well written. I think like they're not very likable. They're kind of just annoying.
They are super annoying. And then the bro decides like he really wants to make it work with his wife, and so he goes back to the motel they're staying in for some reason, and plants a big romantic kiss on his very annoying wife, who has suggested that dogs are going to be pooping on his mother's remains, and who wants to know if this woman that she doesn't seem to know very well has left her anything.
I just was like, yeah, that stuff is, but once again, going back, Meryl Streep, older Meryl Streep, when she gets the bracelet.
Love all of that. Oh, I love all of that. Yes.
I mean,
and it's great.
And, just, it's a nice adult movie, and it's about real adults' emotions and real adult feelings and the conundrum that you can be in. Like, you can love someone, but it's not going to work out. The sacrifices you make when you have a family and all that and how you manage. And so I can see, I mean, I don't know. I just see I ignore the parts that annoy me, and then I just focus on
There's a lot
their
that's,
scenes.
and all the stuff in the past is so good. It's super, super good. I don't understand why couldn't we have like bro or sis relating this story to a friend who was having trouble in her marriage or something, Why did we have to go through this whole rigmarole about these two characters? I don't get it. To me, it almost, like if it wasn't Clint Eastwood and Meryl Streep, it would have wrecked the movie. But fortunately, it is them, and therefore, most of the movie is just them two, and that is electrifying. And
it's really,
terrific.
It really is. And I want to say that, she was nominated for several, the Academy Awards and Golden Globes. I mean, it was nominated.
It's a great performance.
It's a great performance. I think he did a good job. I think it looks great.
It's just this weird thing in the script. I just don't get it at all. But if just forget about that, and you could even just fast forward through it. Frankly, you really
honestly
could, because she's going to pick you up. She'll catch you up. Meryl's got you. She's going to catch you up. She's going to tell you who Lucy is, and once you know who Lucy is, then you'll get the whole thing with the bridge, and you could just skip bro and sis altogether. Just do yourself a favor. Because as I say, it's about 40 minutes too long, and it's those 40 minutes. That's what I think. I think just skip them.
Just skip them, and it's a good movie, and I think it's beautiful. Honest to God, I think it's really well
really
done.
Beautiful imagery.
Yeah,
all the way around. The cinematography is super good. Yeah.
It's a real sense of time and place. It feels real.
It does. Yeah.
And like I said, the soundtrack, it's just like you don't hear it every day. It's not like other scores. It's
a very good score. Yeah.
Yeah. It's wonderful.
Yeah. So I say just skip bro and sis. Just fast forward.
Whenever you see them, just fast forward. You're not going to miss a
Those
thing.
poor actors, listen, they did their best.
It's not great material. It's not them. It's not great material. It just was not thought out properly. I think they just said, we need some antagonism here. So what do? We'll make it the kids as adults.
I know. They invented a conflict that doesn't exist in the book. Like a whole,
Right.
they tried to like shove this whole conflict in there. Why? Anyway, but Meryl and Clint, come on.
They're
Loved
great together.
them. Loved them. Yeah, it's a big age difference, but she holds her own so well.
Oh, yeah.
And we don't have that element, that kind of cringy, subservient little tones that are in the book of Francesca that she has sometimes. She's definitely holding her own against him. And so even though there's a greater age difference, they are better matched, I feel, in the movie than they are in the book. Although it's I like those moments in the book as well. So what do you think, book or movie?
Oh, movie, but just not the kids stuff. Like anything with the kids. I'm not going to read this book again. I'll watch this movie again.
No, yeah, you're right. I'm not. And I would watch this. If this movie was on TV, like I said, I would just like ignore those parts and I would watch all the other stuff with just the two of them again. I think even with the husband and the kids, I like that part, all those parts as well. I think they're very good.
I think it's that
and
that
him,
stuff
like you said,
works.
him in the town, in the diner, with Lucy. That's a great.
And the townspeople that look very authentic and very true to life,
Agreed.
and you feel that tension. That poor woman when she shows up, the hostility.
It's so sad. I'm so sad for her.
It's heartbreaking.
Oh my gosh, that poor woman. Okay, movie.
Okay,
yeah.
So, what are you thinking, Margot?
Well, we had somebody recently recommend The Paper Chase. Might be good. Yeah.
I'm
John
checking
J.
the app.
John J. Osborne Jr.
Okay.
And is that the one? It's about it's a law school.
Yes, and it's Timothy Bottoms.
Oh, who we
Lindsay
love.
Wagner, John Houseman.
Bionic Woman.
Yes.
Oh, yes, and it's the one with John Houseman. Oh, okay.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So that's going to be the next episode. And as you could tell, also we are figuring out what we're going to do for Pride Month. We just have to get through this week. I had to turn in my manuscript. Margaret's got her thing. So anyway, we will get that. But please send us your suggestions. All the places I mentioned at the top of the show. Our email, once again, is bookversusmoviepodcast@gmail.com. And Margot, where can they find you?
You can find me online at coloniabook.com, and all my social media callouts are at She's Nacho Mama. And where can they find you?
You could find me at Brooklyn Margot for TikTok and Twitter. I have some clips of the movie on TikTok that people love. They're coming back for that. And then I'm at Brooklyn Fitchick. That's my site, and that's where I am on Instagram and Threads. Okay, everybody. We'll be back soon with a new episode. Thank you so much for listening to the Book versus Movie podcast. We're a part of the Frolic Podcast Network. You could find more podcasts you will love at frolic.media/podcasts. You could find us on Twitter, Threads, Blue Sky, and Instagram at Book versus a Movie. Just spelled it all out. We have a Patreon page. Type in there Book vs Movie Podcast, where you can find 8 years worth of shows. You can follow Margot D on social media at Brooklyn Margot and also Brooklyn Fitchick. You can find Margot P at She's Nacho Mama. Thank you again for listening, and please be sure to send along your suggestions for the show. Remember, the book needs to be easy to get your hands on, and the movie has to be streaming on a major platform. We will be back soon with a new episode.